Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
So before we get going, guys, please do make sure you are subscribed. Hopefully you might get a notification or two in the next couple decades.
Yes.
And we see this over here. Move Oregon's border is going to be on the May 18th ballot in 5 counties. The organizers believe the needs of the conservative rural residents are being dominated by the liberal urban centers. So, we've talked about all sorts of things in the past. On Evolutionary, I've done 2 or 3 videos talking about California and how it might get broken up into multiple parts at some point in time. We've certainly talked about Texas secession and leaving the Union. And we have talked about exactly what's going on with Oregon and then Washington too. But Oregon especially has been something that's been talked about a lot more, it seems, recently. So the goal of this initiative is for Idaho to absorb about 3/4 of Oregon. But that's really just a small portion of the population. Roughly 800,000 of the state's 4.2 million residents live in rural counties. And this is part of that great divide that exists in this country. It's a tremendous divide. And I don't see how it's going to stay together long term and have people be happy.
Oh, no, not at all. That's just not going to happen. It's too bad that people can't get along a little bit better, but we got what we got. And sometimes things are for growth purposes.
So the organizers believe the needs of the conservative rural residents are being dominated by the liberal urban centers in the northwest part of the state. They also believe the move would benefit urban Oregon too, because the northwest part of the state has to subsidize the rural areas. So all of a sudden, northwest Oregon can now take and put the money in their own pocket, continue on with all their social programs and everything they want to do up there in the Portland area. Just let us go, said Mike McCarter, president of Mover Oregon's Border. Mover Oregon's Border. That just doesn't sound right.
No.
For a greater Idaho.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that's very fair.
Well, yeah, what do the people in Idaho think about this, I wonder? Maybe you'll have to ask your brother and your sister-in-law.
I will have to ask my brother and his family for sure. Absolutely. And then I'll let you guys know what they think about it.
And, there's so much going on. We got to see the bigger picture going on. There's 2 videos that are being uploaded. One was just uploaded to Evolutionary, as we're going to utilize Evolutionary more now in a certain direction. And we'll have videos going up on both channels. Here we see Universal Basic Income Bill advances. Now, this is in California. That would give every Californian $1,000 a month. Beware of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Message.
We get notifications coming up left and right over here as we are talking about those wolves in sheep's clothing. So obviously California is the same thing. It's really, it depends on where you're at. If you're out in the more rural areas, it's going to be more conservative, and if you're in the middle of the big cities, more liberal. Everybody, well, maybe not everybody, likes free money.
Mm-hmm.
There are those that view it as, hey, nothing in this life is for free.
Mm-hmm.
What are you selling me with this universal basic income?
Yep.
What are we going to have to do
to get it?
Yeah, well, maybe a couple of things that we're talking about that are going up in Evolutionary will shed some light on that subject.
I think so.
We see the IMF warns a global tax deal urgently needed to avoid potential trade war. As the tensions haven't dropped geopolitically. It doesn't really matter what happens on January 20th in some ways. For the most part, the military budget will keep going up, and there'll always be wars of some sort as long as this world is governed by, people with certain interests in certain industries. So, here we see the IMF, International Monetary Fund, want a global tax deal. Now, this gets into JB's talking about corporate taxation and of course fair trade and all. And the average person will hear, oh, well, tax corporations, yay, let's go with that. But let's also look at what else is going to be done. What else gets snuck in? What does that really mean? Ultimately, we're heading towards one complete society that is run in a certain way. Hang on a second. CCP. A global fine dining ware system for all is the ultimate goal of certain people. And we wonder, don't people wonder when the same names come up in different time periods, even, say, Janet Yellen, for instance. Why do the same people end up seeming to be in control of certain policies? And, of course, they get into also the US and China trade war / new Cold War that's going on. And here you see Yellen is talking about interest rates, and she made a statement that made people think that, oh, wait a minute, higher interest rates, higher inflation, and then backed off of it. But we know what's coming. I mean, it's exactly, actually, is exactly what we've anticipated. Inflation risk intensifies with supply shortages and problems in transporting goods. We've been talking about this forever. So has Ice Age Farmer and David at Adapt 2030. What happens when the U.S. goes banana republic? Look at what's going on in Colombia and has been going on in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. We see federal judge overturns the CDC's eviction moratorium. So a lot of people, this is huge for the whole housing industry, because there weren't a lot of foreclosures, because people had the forbearance. They didn't have to pay their mortgages because of everything going on. And at some point in time, things will pop back into normal. The housing crisis right now is in trying to find a house. It's crazy. We've been part of that ourselves. And it seems like everybody is feeling the urge right now to get themselves situated in a better spot, maybe realizing, hey, I could do a little bit better than where we're at right now, maybe seeing the writing on the wall with everything that's going on. We follow several channels, and we've talked about them. We just saw Sow the Land, who is over in the Asheville area. He's got, I believe, 1.5 acres. So that's a small little homestead, but very doable. And he's putting his up for sale, and he's talking about getting a bigger piece of land, more acreage, by the end of the year. And then, what's her name? Roots and Refuge. She's in Arkansas, and she has a really nice place. 7 acres total. They do an amazing job. I think, gosh, they're probably better situated than 99.875% of the population, but she's went and her hubby bought a much bigger spread in South Carolina. So they are selling their spread, which is a fantastic spread, a great end of the world spread. A Teotihuacanaki, the end of the world as we know it type zombie apocalypse place to have, but she's going for even bigger and better and more over in South Carolina with a massive spread that has several lakes / ponds on it. So people are doing what they can, and as we've seen, a lot of people are leaving the cities to get to the suburbs, leaving the suburbs to get to the country, moving into places where they can basically support themselves and their family, and maybe end up bringing family and friends in close with them to create these little communities that can barter and trade when you can no longer buy or sell unless you have that mark of the whatever system that has been prophesized, as well as been talked about in other traditions as well.
I know it's something that we've seen in traditions and we've read in certain books, and it's coming to fruition. It feels almost like it's a forced thing, like they're forcing all of these signs of the times, to kind of show themselves. But anyhow, whether that's what they're doing or not, it's just time to get ready.
Yeah, and when you look at a lot of the prophecies, it was just hitting me as we talked about the prophecy of the Imam Mahdi. And then, of course, if you look at the traditional Christian point of view, it's very easy for somebody that is an evangelical Christian, fundamentalist Christian, that believes in exactly what Revelation says is going to happen. Other, prophecies as well, like Ezekiel 38, and we could go on, to look and say, well, that Imam Mahdi really seems to fit the bill as the Antichrist. Wow, and then when you realize that there are the planners behind the scenes that have put all these things in motion to create this perfect storm scenario, as we talked about, all the artificial flavoring, as doesn't seem like this wants to come up, but it's basically talking, this article was talking about the G7, the group of 7 most powerful economic countries, again, criticizing China and Russia, because this has been in play for a very long time. And of course, if you are Jewish or Christian, or maybe even Islamic, you might say, look, God restored Israel into being as a nation, pulled everybody back together in the last days. Just shows us the end times. But who was involved in that? Where did that Balfour Declaration come from? It was a red shield. ROTH, childs, banking industry. I care not who is upon the throne. Whoever controls the money controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's God. Hell no. Doctors investigate mystery brain disease in Canada. And this is popping up over on the eastern coast mostly, and it looks just like that nasty prion disease that people have gotten from eating cows. Creutzfeldt Jacob disease, nasty, nasty, nasty seizures, delusions, hallucinations, weight loss, aggression, repetitive speech. People have made connections with this. It's a very scary, scary situation, and I'll just let you guys read that. Mm-hmm. No need to really go into that anymore. As we see, and we've been talking about it, every day I see more updates. This was just updated today, Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo, by the way, everybody. U.S. birth and fertility rates in 2020 dropped to another record low, so says the CDC. So low it's beyond replacement levels, meaning our population would be declining if it was not for immigration. And, what's going on there? Is there any artificial flavoring involved there? Is it just simply a choice? Well, if it's a choice, then why did sperm counts drop 60%? What's really going on here? Oh, that's a weird looking cloud over there. That cloud looks like a tic-tac-toe pattern. Oh, there's X's and O's over there. What do you know? That's got to be natural. By the way, a woman missing since 2020 was found living in a tent in the woods, eating moss and grass, and for 6 months in a national forest. And they took her in to test her sanity. And, perhaps she's of the opinion that, the sanity should be tested of the people that are in leadership positions around the globe. As, even though she was taken in, to see if she is sane. She didn't break any laws, but she was just living out there. And I basically took in a friend, and you might be listening right now, who came and lived with me throughout the winter, because that's exactly what he was doing. He just wanted out of the system, so he went and lived in the woods by himself, and he loved it. He was actually made friends with a bear. Mm-hmm. Although when it got to be cold to a certain level, he recognized his life was in danger. So he came and stayed with me for the 6 cold months. There's a lot going on out there, guys. There's a lot going on out there, and we could definitely view this as a battle of light against dark. Many will just say, hey, it's angels against demons. It's God against Satan. But you have to realize there's a lot of infiltration of sorts going on where, good might be being portrayed as bad and vice versa. There's a lot of wolves in sheep's clothing that we know of. There's tons of them on this planet. A lot of them. A real lot. So thanks for being part of the family. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. We really couldn't do it without you. If you need to make an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail or EEARTS@protonmail.com. Stay prepared out there. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.